So let's get this green wire hooked up. I have to get this all back together before the morning because my dad's going out to our property out in Conklin, the farm. So he wants it all back together and usable. So run that wire underneath there, and then I just gotta take and hook these two together. But before I do that, I'm gonna go grab something. This here is the little neon tube that I zip tie up here, and that's what shines down on that little thing. And I had it hooked up before. I had it hooked up on this, on the same line as my remote. It was just easy that way. The blue stripe is your positive, and the other one's just your negative. This is really tiny wire. So you're just going to take and twist it together with one of these ones, because it should be it's enough power to power this without overdoing it. And then you want to cut it back quite a bit. You don't really need a lot of wire for these splices. If you try to put too much wire up into them, then the rubber will stick out, and then you could have shorts going on. So you want to make sure that they're just really tiny and that there's no rubber sticking out before you crimp it on, but make sure that it goes all the way up in. And then you just take and crimp it. Do the same thing with the other one. See, it's a little bit too long, so I'm just going to turn it back a little bit. Of course, with the stranded wire, it makes a mess doing that. Just take and stick it in there. Make sure it's tightly in there, and crimp it. Now, just to test it, make sure that this neon tube still works. Take and turn the key on so the radio comes on, and just touch something and it works. Cool. So now I just gotta splice this with the ground wire here. Which I'll figure out somehow. Pushing buttons. Bump, 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 bump. I just want to be careful with these because they're very tiny. The inside tube is made out of glass, plastic is on the outside, so you just gotta be careful you don't snap them. They break fairly easily. I'm gonna try to use the same splice thing that I had on that wire before. See if it'll work again. So I don't know if it's a reusable thing or... it's not working, so. So what I'm going to do, this wire is a little bit too small for the splice that I'm trying to use. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to strip it back just a little bit like that. And I'm going to take the part that's stripped and just fold it back like that. And now I'm just going to place it in there so that those wires are facing down. And now just take and press it in there. Make sure it's tight. Now we should be in business. Yep, there we go. And that's how I hooked up to the radio. So now if you turn off your radio, the light turns off. The only problem with this is having it right here in your dash. It's very bright at night. So if you're driving on like back roads where there's no street lights, the light kind of throws off your night vision with your eyes, and it makes it fairly hard to see the road. But after a while of driving with it, it kind of goes away, and I was fine with it. I didn't really care. But I'd go for a ride with Zach, and he'd be the one turning it off because it was bothering him, and I was the one driving. So I didn't mind it, but it's your preference. If you want to just hook it up with a switch, then you have to turn it on every time. But whatever. So let's get these mounting brackets put on. Alright, so now those are in. Now I'm going to put my plexiglass back on. While I was out today, picked up some new nuts and bolts, because the ones I used before, it was kind of like I threw the project together, didn't like take the time to actually get the right stuff, and I recycled some bolts that I had that were on my ping pong table, and they didn't fit so well, and I had to cut out part of it in here, so it looks kind of nasty now, but I got the right stuff this time. Alright, now I'm working on putting these bolts on to the nuts, and I guess I picked the right size. They're a little bit long, could have been shorter. I just didn't want to get something that was too short, but they seem to be working alright. These don't have to be too tight, because like, it's not like it's holding the truck together or anything. It's just got to hold this piece of plexiglass in there, and it doesn't take too much to do that. You just want to get them tight enough so that when you drive, the vibrations from the road and just driving in general, all the vibrations, they don't loosen up your bolts. So then you'll have a piece of plastic falling out of your dash.